in the world where everyone can build things so fast, your distribution is your moat, because once you get customers in your product and they're using it all the time, the switching cost, that becomes, what you're going to do. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of companies pre-2021 are probably going to become dinosaurs and become obsolete. But I think we're going to have a new generation of companies that are going to emerge.
That spark of innovation, it's just waiting for the perfect combination of tools and talent to bring it to life. Welcome to Pitch, Build, Scale. I'm your host, Chris Fanchi, a recovering startup founder, veteran SaaS marketer, turned dev tech enthusiast and growth specialist. Each episode, we connect with the builders, the visionaries, and the problem solvers who are redefining what's possible with today's technology and pioneering the websites, apps, and software products of tomorrow. These are the conversations that transform how we build, how we sell, and how we scale technology businesses in a world where the tech evolves by the minute. Ready to stay ahead of the curve? This is Pitch, Build, Scale. Hello and welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are Big North Marketing and specialize in helping dev shops and SaaS companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your SaaS or dev business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs. We're really excited to have today's guest, Christopher Gray, CEO of Path. Christopher is an award-winning entrepreneur, Shark Tank alumnus, and a passionate advocate for educational equity. After helping millions secure scholarships with Scholly, he's now tackling the affordability and accessibility of test prep through Path, an AI-powered platform helping students from all backgrounds prepare for college admissions and professional exams. Christopher, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Chris.
So I like to start with everyone's kind of origin story. Going back to the beginning, what first got you into technology and particularly ed tech?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. I now live in New York, so far away from my roots. I went to college in Philly and went to Drexel University. But backtracking back to Birmingham, first my family go to college. So I ended up, being pretty good at school, ended up winning over $1 million in scholarships to go to school. That was the big cornerstone of the story. So I had a big lived experience of like education and equity in education, a lack of access, particularly to financial aid, quality education, even seeing things like test prep, being completely out of reach for a lot of students in public education because it costs $1,200 to do that. And, you can't do that if your parents trying to pay bills. Right. So saw that through my lived experience, went to college, went to Drexel, one on the East Coast, and then really got into the technology space actually through the university. And I actually started volunteering in the Philly School District with a lot of other college access nonprofits, and started to realize, this problem. I was this young boy from Birmingham, Alabama at the time. So I'm like, oh, you come to the insular environment, and you go out into the real world, but okay, this is a huge thing that scales, right? So really been passionate about education, just helping people. And then I decided to use technology to productize that, right? It was because I'm Chris Gray and I couldn't help thousands of people, just me as a one human. So I decided to use technology. And that was right after the Instagram got acquired and all these other, this was just the age of apps and all that stuff. So decided to create an app around this idea of helping students find all these scholarships that they qualified for. They could not, but they couldn't just find them, right? And therefore leaving all this money unclaimed every year because students don't know they exist. And that's how I created my first company, Scholly. And I was actually in college, launched it on Shark Tank. And then we started the biggest fight in Shark Tank history, scaled up to 5 million users, helped these students win all these scholarships, and just grew and eventually sold the company to Sallie Mae. But, that's the origin story of my first company. But, ultimately it's through lived experience. And I felt that I was trying to solve a problem that I was trying to solve as a human by myself, and realized I couldn't scale my humanity and my physical body. I decided to leverage technology, particularly the mobile app space, and as a medium to be able to create this product called Scholly to help students find these scholarships for college. So that was kind of my origin story.
Okay. So did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Was that something that you thought about from a young age, or was it just you saw this opportunity and couldn't pass it up?
Yeah, I think that was something. In high school, I had a volunteer organization that brought volunteer opportunities to my community because people didn't think students in my city wanted to do volunteer work. So I partnered with Ronald McDonald House, American Cancer Society, and others to like host volunteer projects to help students get community service hours, which was important for them to get scholarships and go to college. So that was something that was really important. So yeah, so always, but I think it's particularly social impact. Social enterprise is something I really like. I like to find ways to blend a strong business model with something that you can actually impact a lot of people. And that's kind of what I did with Scholly, and that's ultimately what I'm doing with Path. Hey, we're still going to make a lot of money, but we also are going to help a lot of people because we're solving a huge pain point for, a mass market opportunity around people that can't afford this level of test prep. So I think that, yes, from a young age, I knew what that was, but I saw signals that I was, an entrepreneur, and the things I wanted to do in terms of things I gravitated toward. I was part of the Community Entrepreneurship Institute when I was in high school and all these things. So, it was definitely something that I liked, that I gravitated towards. So it made sense when I decided to start a company because it's something, that blend both my passions and, and just the entrepreneurial interest from a very young age.
So how did the technology play into this? When did that become a part of what you were planning to do? Like, how did you work that into a business model?
I mean, originally I didn't. At first, I was like, I'm gonna make an app because I was just trying. I was stressed out. To be honest with you, helping trying to help a lot of kids. And then I was like, I should make an app. Then apps cost money. Developers cost money, and salaries cost money. All these things, server costs, all blah blah blah. They just all cost money. So I realized that I had to, tie it to, a product and create a business model around it because I had no choice. So it was kind of like started to just make an impact, but then you can do just download to people this free app, and like they're like, yeah, you got to pay people to make the app, you got to do all the right, so you got to have a business model behind it. And so I think that it was figuring out a way to scale, leveraging technology and understanding the cost of technology and scale. And actually, when I was in college, somebody reached out to me about Shark Tank, and they saw us in the press, and that's ultimately how that opportunity came around. But technology was kind of the forefront because I was solving a problem that wasn't being solved at scale. And I think technology presented an opportunity to solve that problem at scale. That's something that just as many humans, like I, as Chris Gray, could not have served 5 million people over 10 years. Could have done it in a decade or in my entire lifetime, 4 lifetimes actually. But with Scala, I was able to. And I think that was really important. And I think
So
technology enabled that.
yeah, so talk a little bit about Path. What is Path doing? How is it picking up where Scully left off and continuing that journey for you?
So, Path is solving another problem in the college admissions process, which is test prep. Something that's coming back, as you know. The new administration sent out a letter to pretty much any college that gets federal funding, which is almost every college in the U.S., saying that test optional policies are DEI. So a lot of schools are starting to roll that back. Also, because we are AI and all this other stuff, where people are not starting to trust GPAs anymore. They're starting to need objective assessments to do that. So you're seeing that wave of coming back, and therefore there's a demand there around ACT, SAT, PSAT, all that stuff, AP exams, everything, right? And so the idea, and then also, so this idea that the thing that we're trying to prepare for is that when tests become mandated again, then test prep companies are going to, oh my God, yay. Problem is, all these test prep companies are charging $1,200+ for test prep to take two practice exams to do that. You take your GMAT, LSAT, GRE, even more, $2,000-$3,000. AI has presented a unique opportunity where you can build that same kind of test prep for barely anything, and so you disrupt this entire industry that has literally been built on just serving very wealthy students to now making it accessible for everyone because these stakes are so high stakes. They determine what schools to be getting into. All the Ivy League schools require. So if you want to go to top school, it's a prerequisite. And if you don't do well on them, it can have a lot of consequences. But because it's so expensive, a lot of students cannot afford it. So Path solved that problem by leveraging AI. This new version of this technology, where we're able to provide students unlimited practice, not just 2, 3 practice exams, et cetera. And they're able to do it for all under $100, right? And so that allows us to service millions of students. There's organizations like Kaplan and Princeton Review, literally their entire business model is serving like over just 100,000+ students a year, right? And they make good money doing that, but only a certain segment of the population can afford that, probably 2 to 5%. And that leaves 95% of students in America or even internationally, this underserved market who cannot afford that. And that's what we're targeting. I would even say we're competing with Kaplan and those other, because we are literally targeting an audience who could never even afford their product.
Mm.
Think to them. Path also is expanding. As of Monday, we also launched the second phase. So my overall vision is not just around test prep, is around creating an overall AI agent around this whole college admissions process, right? Which is a extension of Scholly. So we actually just launched our newest feature, which is our AI college and scholarship essay coach. We found through a lot of our customers who were like, we're taking all the ACTs. They were like, the next phase of this is really we spend most of our time in the college application process is actually essays. And then we did the research that showed income, the test scores and the quality of essays is directly correlated to income, right?
Mm.
So students who have, make more money, they can afford essay consultants, test programs, so they kind of go hand in hand. From a business perspective, we like to just kind of create a moat because if you're taking your ACTs in junior year, you need to apply for scholarships in college senior year and throughout college. And this kind of allowing us to start to build that, right? So my larger vision is AI agent. So that's kind of what Path is. So think about Path as an AI agent for college and career readiness as it expands because we don't just have test prep for ACT, ACT. We also have it for professional certifications like CompTIA. We have GED. We had NCLEX, and we're going to add other professional certifications, AI certifications, et cetera. So we're going to really expand beyond that because to help people who don't want to go to college get these certifications they need to get these new jobs.
Okay. So where is Path at as a company right now? What stage are you guys in, and how large are you?
Yeah, so we actually been around just a year and a half. Because I sold Scholly, and then I took some time to relax. Then jumped back into the game because AI is just this new wealth, this creation of wealth frontier that can pass up. So just a year and a half years old. Like a lot of companies, the VC mandate states that you got to build this big company without a lot of people. So we're just sitting around a little under 12 people right now that are working for the company, and we are growing. So I would say we are in the seed stage. That hasn't been announced yet around the details around that, but I would say that's where we are. But we got a lot of growth because I've been able to carry a lot of my relationships over from Scholly to this new product, and also the credibility I've had with Scholly allowed a lot of businesses and deals to go through very quickly because people trust what I built in the past and did that really well. So I think that is something that has been a big thing. But we're kind of growing fast. I would say, I'm not gonna make investors mad by announcing our metrics, but we've kind of had a lot from our first year, for our first half of the year, that we're really, really excited about. It's been pretty exponential, and mainly but because I've been able to, I kind of know the blueprint of how to target students, how to do the whole affordability angle and all that stuff. So I've been able to bypass a lot of mistakes I would have made, a lot of mistakes I did make my first venture.
Mm.
I tell a lot of my friends I'm doing day one what it took me 4 years to learn from being starting Scholly when I was 21 years old, and selling it when I was 31 years old. So I think I learned a lot, right?
Mm.
I realized, there's so many founders are starting companies when I sold mine. So in terms of age wise, so it was really cool, a cool process to figure that out.
So how do you go about reaching students that are specifically in those underserved areas? How do you identify them and get in front of them?
Yeah, so a lot of our go-to-market has ironically been scholarships. We launched scholarships to be lead magnets.
Hmm.
They're very easy to promote, cost very little, CPL, cost per lead super low, and we use that to go-to-market. So what best way to find students who need to afford test prep, or students who need to get a first coach and then get the students upon a scholarship. So they also are great lead magnets to share them. They talk about them. So it's a very, very, very easy sell. People like it and it works really, really well for us. Also, you work directly with the schools, go through the college guidance counselors. These are the counselors who are generally in charge of ensuring resources with students that they need for test prep, that they need for, you know, to help with their essays and all that. A lot of them are overworked and stressed because oftentimes when a lot of students were served, there is like one high school counselor to 200 students. So a lot of time they can't help everyone, not giving them the intensive support they need with their essays, test prep, and all that. So we kind of be able to fill that void and help reduce that workload. We just got up a call literally 30 minutes ago with a school that was like, they literally are actually a boarding school that literally say we spend so much time and headcount and money on like essays. Like it's just like, if we can help these students, it helps us move faster. And literally the next we left the call with a proposal sent. They were like, we need, because they were like, if you look about the application process of college, it's really that essays take up about 70% of what you're going back for. The rest is just filling out a form, and we all know everyone uses AI to do that at this point. So like, the real hard part is like getting the essays right. So a lot of the kindness counselors in schools spend most of their time back and forth with students, like, oh, this, and the students asking all this questions. But if AI can do that, because our AI guides them through that, and basically is that it's a coach. It guides them through their ideas and then drafts it, but it actually guides them, not just spitting something out like a chat GPT and things like that. So
Mm.
So we solved a huge pain point for our users, and I think because of my background with Scholly, I'm uniquely positioned to solve these problems. And I know this audience, I know how to reach them. I got 5 million of them, and I know how to really speak their language and do that. And I think in the age of AI, when it's so easy to build products, it's so easy to do things. I think it's important for founders to find a niche that they're uniquely in a domain they're uniquely positioned to win in AI at. Not just I want to be an AI company, and it can do that, but if Chris Gray, the founder of Scholly, who scaled and sold a company, is doing AI in the college agent space, that's going to help you raise money, have credibility with users because they have credit. You have the credibility of what you're trusting. Investors trust that. And that's kind of how you play the VC game is you really are trying to build and have trust and de-risk their investment by showing that you're building something that you know, that you have domain expertise in, that you know better than anyone else or most people.
So, how are you seeing your competitors like Kaplan adjust to the change in the
They
landscape with AI?
They're a public company. They're not going to reduce. They're not about to go from charging you $1,400 to charge you. We charge you $60, and we give all the Tesla ones. They're not doing that. I think the reaction. Actually, how should I say this? But I ran into someone connected to Kaplan. I'll say this much. A conference in April, and they were kind of like a little flustered by it. I think that they recognize it's kind of like Grammarly, right? You know, Grammarly is like I don't know if Grammarly's gonna exist. I'm like it's just I'm like they just raised $1 billion acquire super. I'm like I really don't see how you're gonna really compete. You know, Gemini and all this stuff. I just don't. I just feel like and Chegg. You know, so you see these companies getting disrupted, and I think that's what's gonna happen because even though we're not targeting those upper middle class students, they're gonna use our product. If I can get the same service for less than $100, I'm not gonna pay $2,000. It's just you know, rich people are actually good with money. That's kind of why they have it, right? Like, you know, people are like, oh, there's money. Yeah, actually, most people that have money are good with money, and their goal is to keep that money. If they can get the same quality of material for less than $100, I'm not gonna pay $2,000 for it, right? We have a lot of people. There's a whole program who they're GMAT prep, like all $2,000. They're using Path. People are my friends taking LSAT using Path. Like, why would they pay all this money when they have a cheap alternative and get the exact same content and you get unlimited practice, not just you know this constraint stuff. That's kind of what we've seen. So we see them as dinosaurs, very legacy companies. I think those are kind of companies that will probably try to buy you before being actually structurally able to compete because they would have to gut and dismantle their entire organization just to compete with you and you know all that. And now we have a model we can add any test. We can just outbeat them. We can add all the AP exams. We can add we can add state-based exams they take in middle school. Our model is trained specifically on that, so we can just continue to add this whole catalog that they're not going to be able to compete with, right? And we can do that because we're new. They can't. They would have to completely deconstruct their business model and revenue to even remotely try to compete with us.
How do you see AI disrupting higher education in general? Are you seeing any changes this early on, or do you think they're kind of slow watching and seeing what's happening?
I think higher ed is adapted to AI more faster than K through 12 because the thing about AI is that AI colleges are getting judged whether they can help prepare you for the workforce. So in the workforce, they're saying use AI. So colleges have to adapt. They also have more money, and also they kind of have to do that. And I think that's the
Mm.
reality. I think the K through 12 market is struggling with it. One, because let's be honest, a lot of teachers and educators are afraid they're going to lose their jobs. They're afraid that they're not going to be as needed. Less these are people that are already not being paid a lot. So you're telling them that you know that a lot of these teachers have side hustles that are tutors. You're not saying a student doesn't. So you know, like we just launched an essay coach. What is that going to mean for English who are all these essay consultants who are trying that's gonna disrupt that business, which is good, but that's disruption.
Mm.
So I think and then so there because you know when you're in K through 12, you're focused on learning how to the fundamentals. When you're in higher ed, they're more like, hey, we're trying to pipeline for a job. So I think they're really resistant. There's also private data privacy. But in terms of higher ed, I think it's disrupting it. I think they're gonna be AI, I think they're gonna be AI powered colleges. I think someone's gonna train someone can literally do that today. Take every course that a college offers, train an AI model and literally and if it gets accredited they can literally give you the same that's literally they just take every professor give me your curriculum that you do every course that's offered at your university. I can train an AI model and literally I can have a whole AI college that you can go to with the same quality of material and if you it gets accredited, kaboom, right? The
Mm.
university's gonna be just hopefully living off their endowment, right? But I think that that's what's gonna happen. I think it's going to force colleges to have to reduce their costs because they're gonna have to start competing with alternative forms of education that are just as that are just as efficient, where people are going to start learning, feeling like I'm not going to pay $200,000 to get a piece of paper. I'm going to just learn this skill. Yeah, and that's why we are definitely making sure that we're preparing for the workforce development space because we think certifications are going to be really, really important. We only touch CompTIA now because honestly, what we're seeing in the market is that AI has disrupted the workforce so much that you probably need to sit back and wait until with whatever the new certifications are gonna be because honestly, like I don't know PMP, all this stuff. What is project management when you can use Notion or Motion for your PMP? Like what does that mean? What does cybersecurity mean? AI can automate that. What does there may be OpenAI may launch their own certification. So I think we're trying to sit back and prepare for what the future of work is going to be like because I think that what you need to be certified in is going to completely change. Now that these new AI models are now present, where you're going to be like, I personally, as an employer, I would love if I saw someone certified in Gemini, certified in ChatGPT, like certified, like they really, really know how to use it in depth. That would mean more to me than a degree at this point, because I know you can, I know you're certified in using all these major tools. That would be something that's important to me because right now I have, we when we interview certain people, oh, I know how to use chat, and then someone, I use AI, and they were like, what do you? I use ChatGPT. They really don't know how to use it. They're just kind of Q&A, right? But if that was a
Mm.
certification that said, oh, this person actually knows how to use this. That would mean a lot.
Yeah. How are you seeing parents and even like high school students that demographic look at higher education? Has their perspective changed given what's going on? Are they a little more hesitant to commit to a 4-year degree?
I think parents are yes and no because parents usually have to foot the bill or help get put their credit on the line for student loans. I think Z is really gonna change everything because they are gonna be AI native. They're growing up with the technology. It's gonna be a part of their day-to-day lives, and I think they're going to force change because you're gonna have all these boomers and even millennials and Gen X saying, oh hey, and they're gonna be like, I don't care if you tell me I can't use, I'm gonna use it anyway, and they're gonna force them to adapt. And I think that generation is gonna force change because it's gonna be unavoidable because what's happening in the market is that students who are not using AI are going to be competing with students who are using AI. And so you can't tell one group to stop and they're going to be outperformed by the people that are. So think about scholarships, right? Imagine if you spend 6 months on all your different scholarship essays and all this stuff, and then because you wanted to do the right thing, not use AI, and then you lose the scholarship, found out the person that won the scholarship did use AI, and they took them 2 days to write their paper, right? Like, how are you gonna feel, right? Like, it's gonna
Yeah.
so I think that we're going to go, and I think the same thing with academics. I think the world should move to I think the way academics are going to, I think there's going to be a bridge between AI grading AI
Mm.
or AI, because the thing about it, they're struggling because it's undetectable at this point. Like you really can't detect it. You saw the girl sued the school or something where they disqualified her, expelled her because they thought she was doing the AI, find out she wasn't. So it's
Mm.
becoming a thing where like turn it in and these organs are trying to say we can detect it, but really you can't. And you're going to get into some ethical and legal issues when you start disqualifying people from jobs or discriminating or whatever and saying, oh, or what if like you have an inner city student who's black who writes an amazing essay because they're smart, but someone in admissions office says, oh well, this kid from a neighborhood they can't write good because they
Mm.
then you got to race them other right, like I think it creates it creates this thing, they can't write like that, how could this person from this school write like this, right? Like,
Mm.
so I think you're gonna get into a lot of trouble. I think people are gonna have to really have to fall in line when they realize that it's here, it's happening. But what I will say for education is that it's happening so fast in their defense. Education has never been forced to move this fast ever. And in their defense, I don't think it's fair. I think it's fair that they are hesitant, that they're resistant because they're being asked to move at the speed of light when they've been always asked to research, test, pilot this thing. And now in school, and then schools are going to start competing because we're talking this school, they're like, everyone's saying, should I use AI? But then you don't want to get left behind by the school, the other schools in the district outperforming your kids because they are using it. So it becomes a whole thing. Yeah. So it creates competition, right? Like, we want our kids to be better. So
Yeah, but and it's very difficult even from an employer standpoint, from a school standpoint, to discern between what's built with AI or what's been work that's being done with AI versus work that's not. And it'll be interesting to see how businesses look at a degree when they realize that it's entirely possible to get through a degree program where AI is seemingly doing a significant proportion of the work. And what does that degree really mean anymore? How do you
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
evaluate that potential employee's skills?
yeah. Because there are a lot of students are using AI through our college. They're not even working it right now. Like if you're in school right now, these kids in college right now are in the golden age. They are literally partying probably more than they are working. They like literally they are literally not writing paper. All the stuff that we spent crunching, paying like groups, study groups, they're not doing any of that. Like literally they are on their computer doing like it's kids are taking online classes, any class they think is too hard online, and then using things like Clue. I mean, they are like so. I feel
Mm.
like they're in the golden age that we all wish I just got a full ride to college. I could just cruise through and and not be stressed about exams and all this other stuff and have unlimited practice. And yeah, it's it's gonna be a weird it's a weird thing. So they're lucky. They're in a little education bubble. But I think what's gonna happen is I think we're gonna have to start to reframe what we actually need to learn. And I think AI reframe, do you need to learn? Like when we stop learning cursive. What are we gonna need to learn all forms? Are we need to learn fractions? I think it's time to actually to reevaluate what is actually necessary for humans to learn when you have these tools that can do so much. The workforce is that I think the workforce is adopting AI in a way that is probably going to be detrimental to society from a job inflation perspective because
Mm.
literally I will say from my perspective, I hope too many people my team don't see this, but sometimes you actually are finding it hard to find stuff for people to do. They're getting work done so quickly, which is great because using the tools. You're like, well, should you just be an hourly employee, right? Like really, like should I be paid for 40 hours a week when everything's getting done, which is fine, right? Like, or you have a lot of things that and men tasks that you would pay an assistant to do. I have one of my I'm like, I'm trying to find things for you to do because most of the things I do, I use Gemini for, right? Notes and tracking, scheduling. Like, so what is really left for like a lot of so there's some skills that are just obsolete for a lot of
Mm.
people, and I think it's just the rug is being pulled out from a lot of people. I just had a bunch of friends get laid off from Microsoft today. They just announced 9,000 jobs, right?
Mm.
They're salespeople and all that. Like, what happened if you're in the sales? What happened when you have in your and I think who's going to be hurt the most are people in their mid-level or later careers who all are being paid based on tenure. Oh, I have this much experience. I have this much when you are mid-level manager making $250,000 a year for taking 3 meetings a week. I think those are the people that are getting gutted, and not only they're getting gutted and laid off, they're finding hard time finding jobs that are willing to pay them to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like so, because the company that laying them off, the only company they're going to pay you the same, but other big companies that lay other people off for the same thing. So you have these people, these mid-level executives who are kind of like stuck, like in this limbo where they need to be paid so much to where they're not considered desired. Like people don't want to hire. They're like, but in their mind, I'm worth this. I know my worth. And I told one of them, I'm like, you may have to reevaluate your worth right now. And I think a lot of workers are getting attitudes because they're being pouty because that's not how they've been trained to think. But I think they
Mm.
have to really reevaluate their worth to companies because I think so many AI agents can do so much. It's very different. And I think some people are resistant. One instance where a friend of mine found a tool that could do a lot of his work, and he was hesitant to do it because he was afraid to show it to his boss because he was afraid his boss was going to replace him with it, or say, or make him a part-time contractor.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and
it.
the popular response to that is that AI is replacing the monotonous work so that it frees you up to do all those other tasks that you never could get to, right? Well, what happens when the AI is better at those tasks too?
Yeah.
At some point, there's not going to be anything left to do that the AI can't handle at least
Yeah,
as well, if not better, and certainly cheaper than a human.
and faster, right?
Yeah.
I get that work so done so fast. I make decisions so quickly, and I have an AI model that my AI engineers have trained that has it's like a brain of path. Like any email that we have, any like, marketing copy, any brand guidelines, it knows product changes, refinement, optimization. So anytime you want to ask about a path internally, we can spit you out about it. You want to onboard someone, anything you want to know about the company, we can instantly the AI can onboard you. You got any question you want to know about who does what, we have a model for that. So it becomes like the nucleus of the company where it knows every decision, every history, how much, what did we change pricing? Did we change the paywall? Did we, hire this person? This person no longer here. Like, hey, what does this person do? Like I need a deck for this client. Done. Like we have a model that does that. And Google Workspace with Gemini has been great at that because they do. I just go and prompt, I needed this, send the calendar, I pull this, attached it, done. It's
Yeah,
scary. It's
it
scary.
is.
As an entrepreneur, I love it, but I feel bad. I'm like, yo, it's like it's weird because I feel like we're in a post pre-apocalyptic thing from a workforce perspective, where it's like I
Yeah.
think there's gonna be this concentration of people that are gonna make a lot of money, and then there's gonna be like this like desolate period where people are just not gonna have jobs. People are gonna revolt. Politicians are gonna start regulating AI, banning it for certain uses and all this stuff because at the end of the day, I can't vote for them. So I think that's what's going to happen. But I think there's this crunch for a lot of people to make a lot of money. Like these, that's why Silicon Valley, we're pouring money to everything because I think that there's going to be a reckoning, especially if we go from red to blue, where they're going to be like, we have to do, people are going to be running on what are we going to do to AI to make sure that AI can't take people. That I'm sure that's going to be a talking point for our next election. Like,
Mm,
asking all
yeah.
our jobs. Like
Yeah.
y'all need to ban company. I think they're gonna be like I think I see a future where regulators are gonna say AI can't be used for certain things. AI can't replace. They're gonna. I mean, because they're gonna. That's gonna be the only thing that they're gonna have to do because otherwise they're not gonna be. Companies are gonna make a lot of profit, but they're gonna be no job.
Well, and you got to wonder if that's the reason why companies are trying to move ahead so quickly with AI is they want to beat the regulation. They want to beat the political motions because they know that at some point there will be pushback, so they got to get as far as possible.
Yes,
And it
I,
does really feel like the genie's kind of out of the bottle at this point, and
I
I don't know if there's a way to put it back in.
I agree with you. I think if you look at the economic cycles, that's literally what big companies do. It's like these companies have been around the block long enough to know that this shit is gonna have to be regulated at some point because if everyone doesn't have a job, people can't buy anything. That's gonna disrupt the economy. Then we can't that just and you have civil unrest and then you have all people getting it's just to eat the rich. It's just gonna be a lot. We know the cycle, but if you're smart, you get out exit, make a lot of money, kind of the dot-com bubble thing. It's the cycle. Right? Everything is regulated. It's literally we have big wealth creating mode that lasts about 3 to 5 years. A lot of people, VCs pour a lot of money. Founders and VCs make a lot of money. Then the next thing, everything is regulated. Then everything goes back to normal. Then there's some other wave, and that's it. It's a cycle. So I think you probably have 5 years to like really extract the most value before different forms of technology get banned. But there's also the angle that people that I moved to New York from DC. People are like these companies already know this is coming, so they're already lobbying to like make sure. They're like, you really think Google and Open are gonna let these pilots like out legislate them out of business? They're not gonna go quietly like that,
Yeah.
right? Like so they're
Yeah.
going to lobby them to make sure that they don't do something that just disrupts the economy. And then someone brought up, yeah, like you just start the government just regulates things, just taking companies out of business. Then that creates another ripple effect because now people are going to lose, more people are going to lose jobs. Then companies can start suing the government saying you just disrupted, the thing. So I don't think the world is prepared. I
Yeah.
don't think that we are equipped to, the fact that Google is now, after 15 years, is just getting antitrust regulations around it. Because for so many years, politicians didn't know what to do or say. And frankly, probably being lobbied, where they just,
Yeah.
they didn't want to poke the dragon. But, I wonder just how AI is going to do that because AI is moving so fast. But that's down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's hard to have conversations about AI without getting into these topics because it's moving so fast, and this really feels like it's coming at us like a freight train, right? So, getting back to your company, to Path, your goals, what are you looking at for say the next year? Do you have plans? Are you able to plan that far out given the environment?
Yeah, because you can build so quickly. I think, yeah, so I think that my goal is using an AI agent for college and career readiness. I think that, I want to test prep, start with test prep, you have the essays. I want to have an AI agent that can find and apply for scholarships for you. Like, you don't take a step beyond Scholly. You don't need to look for scholarships. We take the data we have about you and go start applying for you, right? So students can now apply to more scholar. We have your essays, so we can now help you apply to as many scholarships as possible, right? So I think that's going to be something that's cool. And then we do that for you every year. So I think, but I think the certifications piece are going to be a big thing. We paused on that again because we're trying to figure out what are going to be the next CompTIAs and the next top certification of the world. But that's kind of what I see. Our vision is really having an AI agent and be this one-stop shop, but doing it in such an affordable way that it helps a ton of people, but also has mass market and frankly high venture level returns as well. Because at the end of the day, like still a for-profit enterprise, but the way
Mm.
we see it is that if we serve Kaplan can serve 100,000 people, we're able to serve 2 million, like who can't afford their service. That's ultimately a bigger business. And I think that that's kind of where we are kind of like where we're kind of what we're excited about. And uniquely about us, our total addressable market increases every time we add a test. Anytime we add a new certification or test, that's a new set. We're constantly adding. So there's no limit to our TAM really in terms of what we're doing.
So, what would a breakout year look like for you over the next year?
Getting a 5 to 10 million AR, that would be great. I think what we're really excited, we're profitable already. So that's really cool. Thanks to AI, I would not have like you don't need to spend many people to do things and I scaled the company, right? So I knew I have one person doing the work of 5 people. So you're able to be really, really profitable. You're able to adjust. And also AI, when you build stuff, it's more work to build it, but maintaining once you're out in the world, it's better and better over time. So it's like you then have to find work for you look at your developer, like, what are y'all gonna do? Because now you're just doing maintenance. I'm like, do I need all y'all? So it's a total thing. And then now Cursor just launched yesterday. You can actually now it went from like the Copilot to now you can launch the AI agents now to code
Mm.
for you. They just launched that. So it's a very much
Exciting.
it's a problem. Yeah. So it's a very different. But I really love what we're doing. So what we're doing at Path, we're gonna either help you go to college or help you get certified so you can be prepared for the workforce and be qualified to get the jobs of the future. So we see ourselves as the future of learning and the future of work.
What would you say is the biggest bottleneck or the thing standing in your way right now? What is your biggest struggle?
I think that what we're doing is right now, what we're doing with, I would say our biggest struggle right now is we just want to make sure that we are moving faster than anyone. Right now, we have first mover advantage in the test prep space because the legacy companies aren't going to compete. So we really want to be able to do that really, really, really well and help and get, so distribution is key. I think the idea of moat in the AI world, I think is nebulous because
Mm.
anyone can really build what you're building. You just have to build it fast and get it out there and find a lane that you can do and move faster than everyone else. Because everyone's saying that people like, oh, no one's building their own LLMs. Everything is mostly a wrapper. Like people, oh, like everyone's building something on top of something, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can brand it how you want it, but everyone's building on top of something. So I think that, what we want to do is get distribution as quickly as possible so we can get our hands on the product and because your moat becomes distribution. I think I think in the world where
Mm.
everyone can build things so fast, your distribution is your moat because once you get customers in your product and they're using it all the time, becomes the switching cost that becomes, what you're gonna do. And I think unfortunately a lot of companies pre 2021 are probably gonna become dinosaurs and become obsolete. But I think we're gonna have a new generation of companies that are going to they're gonna emerge, be display and just and displace a lot of companies, then usher in a new era of work and disruption that we haven't seen since 2000, since the age of the internet. And I think this
Yeah,
is bigger than
absolutely.
I think this is bigger than the age of the internet.
Yeah. Well, Christopher, thank you so much for coming on. I think this was a fascinating conversation. I really enjoyed the discussion, learning about Path and where you're going. So, can you tell listeners where they can find you and learn more about you?
You can, I always want people to learn more about the company. So yourpath.ai. I repeat, yourpath.ai. Learn more about Path, learn more about me, which is my company, which I'm really excited about. That's my baby. Or find me on LinkedIn, Christopher J. Gray. On LinkedIn, look up CEO Path, Christopher J. Gray, and you'll find me.
For everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and as always, keep pitching, keep building, and keep scaling. Thanks for listening to this episode of Pitch, Build, Scale. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.